Hey there, everybody in the FFBE Global Facebook group, and hello to everybody who sees this video on YouTube as well. Welcome to this week's episode of Ask an Old Mog, and don't attempt to adjust your screens. There is definitely something missing from my face. It just was one of those things, like, I started to feel like I wasn't myself anymore, and it was a fun experiment, and now we're back to looking like we're 10 years old, and that's okay. This week we've got a question though that came from the global Facebook group, and I'm excited to talk about it because it involves one of my favorite topics, which is how to best use our free resources. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so we got a question from the global Facebook group earlier this week, about 3 days ago, and here it is. Which unit is good to exchange with Umbra Drops? So if you're not familiar with what Umbra Drops are a resource that you get from completing Clash of Wills. Whether you're getting rank 1 or just completing level 99, you pick up these drops as you go, and then when we get the rewards later on, you might get more depending on your rank. And they allow you to pick a bunch of different rewards. And so sometimes it's useful to think out loud about like what is a good unit to exchange for them, because there's free Neovision units there. However, I'm going to take this a step further and talk about all the available rewards and not just the units in question, because I think it is useful to think about all of them. So to show you where this is, if you've never seen it before for some reason, we're going to click on Shop down at the bottom. And then right over here, Clash of Wills Exchange Shops. And that's where we're going to find all those resources. So if we click on Clash of Wills Exchange, it starts off just showing you the Xenostone. So if we just kind of swipe over all the way to the end, we can see the Obnixus Drops. And it says Umbra. So the current season of currency is called the Umbra Drops. So let's take a look at the units first, because that is what the question refers to. We'll talk a little bit about what each unit does and why they might be useful. So we're going to start out with Celeste, Triumphant General Celeste. She happens to be my favorite character in all of Final Fantasy history. So there's a piece of me that would be like, oh yes, definitely pick my favorite character. If you're interested in her, in the base form, she is a magic tank. So if you are lacking a good magic tank, she is an option for a magic tank. She can also, in the shift form, as a support unit, right? She does ice support, so ice imbue for your party, as well as dragon killer buffs and bird killer buffs, LB damage buffs, LB gauge fill rate, lots of nice things for your party, as well as once you get her to high enough EX levels, a really big dragon killer buff for the whole party. And then she is an ice mage. She does magic damage. Okay. In addition to that, her TMR is an aquatic killer, which also gives some MP and some spirit, which is, kind of nice. Aquatic killer is pretty rare. And then her sword, her STMR, it is a 180 attack, magic, and spirit with 30% magic and physical evasion. And then for Final Fantasy 6 units, which is like all these here, it gets 250 attack, magic, and spirit, with, other good stuff. So, is it useful? Mainly for Final Fantasy 6 units, and pretty much all of them are bad. By comparison, all of them are bad. So it's like, why are we, worrying about these units? Okay, yeah, whatever. I wouldn't really recommend picking her, even though she's my favorite character. Okay, let's talk about the next one. Rykard and Wyvern is a wind damage dealer, DPS. It's a tag team chainer or a jumper, and his TMR does killers for all the races for Final Fantasy 2 units and a 500 attack, which is kind of nice for those units. There's not a lot of really great ones, but we're going to talk about some. He's probably one of the better damage dealer that are physical type that would want attack. So for him, that's pretty nice TMR. His STMR, though, is really, really cool. In addition to just being, 105 attack, it also gives jump damage and the Last Dragoon. The Last Dragoon gives a big modifier buff to jump damage. So for like jumper builds, you really want this to increase the modifier of their attacks. It's pretty cool. So I think it's pretty good. He also just recently got crowns in global, but he's still not like a great unit. He's there though. You'd mainly, in my opinion, be picking him up for his STMR here, and his vision card. His vision card also gives a modifier buff to jumpers. So it's pretty cool, pretty cool. He's very good at buffing up jumpers. He kind of came around last summer, and he was a big jump in power for all the jumpers. Puns, love it. Okay, next we got Magic Mermaid Frisia. Mermaid Frisia is a wind support unit. She's also an SLB, so she buffs up your party. Like, she amplifies and imbues wind. Also does like an aquatic killer buff. By comparison, she's very meh, considering we have global bulwark on global or the new Malphasea unit. However, her STMR, a Shy Mermaid, is very rare. It does 200% Spirit True Double Hand. So for True Double Hand Spirit characters, this is a very, very valuable STMR. I have 2 of these. It's pretty good, pretty good. You don't really need a whole lot of these, but you know, it's definitely great to have at least one. But I don't know that I'd necessarily pick her with a free resource just for that. Otherwise, she's really a pretty terrible unit. So very rarely are you ever going to need her for anything. Emperor of Palamecia, on the other hand, you know, kind of to go along with the wind theme we have going on, he's a wind debuff character and a breaker. He's also an SLB character, and he's actually pretty good now that he got his crowns on global. His TMR is just like Rykard and Wyverns in that it gives killers for everything, 2 Final Fantasy II units as well as 500 magic, and his STMR is amazing. It's an awesome magic heavy armor with spirit on it that also boosts LB damage, but only for breaker units. So it's got Man-Eater Plus on it, so 75% human killer, and this LB damage buff for breaker units. Okay, and when you equip it to him, it gives him 1,000 magic, so it's pretty cool. It also gives him 200% true double hand magic. So for him, it's very, very good. He's not a bad unit, and so I think he could be a potentially good pick if you are wanting a good windbreaker. If you don't have a good windbreaker, his crowns made him pretty solid. He's also got some killer buffs in his party. I think this one here. Where is it? He's got something. LB damage buff for himself. I know he's got killers in here somewhere. I swear I saw it. Where is it? Maybe it's to max his stats. Subdue. There it is. He's got demon, human, and insect killer. Oh my gosh, I'm such a good. I hate the new UI. Refer to long description for full details. Great. There it is. So it's pretty cool. Anyways, he's a good option, I think. He's a breaker unit. Breakers are usually pretty long term. The next one is Stormseeker Esther. Esther is a premium unit, and so what's kind of cool is that you get a premium unit here for the same price as a normal unit. And you know, when you get her to EX3, you get that vision card, so it's pretty cool. She's got an LB damage field buff that most people don't really care for. She's a killer buffer and a very efficient Omni cover tank. She can also fill the morale bar. She's got a lot of uses. Also, her TMR gives, you know, a lot of killers. It gives 4 killers, but at a low level, as well as attack and defense. That's pretty good for her. And then her STMR is a 2-handed greatsword with LB damage on it, as well as 500 attack for Esther type units. And then, you know, otherwise everybody gets 75% LB. I wouldn't be picking her up just for the TMR or STMR, but if you don't have an Omni cover tank, she can be very flexible once you get her to EX1, and she can kind of keep her Omni cover going full time, which is pretty cool. And then her vision card is pretty neat as well once you get her to EX3. So potentially good pick here. And then Tulian is the last one. So Tulian is an Earthbreaker. He gets a lot of free gear from the story. So once you do Season 4 of the story, you get a lot of good upgrades for him. He's an SLB. He just recently got crowns, and we're expecting him to get even more upgrades in the relatively near future. So potentially a good unit, but it is also, he's Earth, and the Earth is not a very good element in general, but he is there. He's a decent breaker, not a great breaker. Earthbreaker is kind of a nice TMR, good to put on breaker unit, or anybody really. Well, you can put it on breaker units, but it gives everybody those units can have an 85% break to everything with a 130 Earth in peril. Kind of nice. His STMR is an axe that has machine killer on it and beast killer. You know, nobody really uses axes that much. And that's the units. So, but in addition to the units, there's these two things here: heavy armor mastery and supernatural subversion. Heavy armor mastery lets you equip heavy armor to any unit and gives 50% attack to all, or 50% to all stats. This is really awesome. And when you combine this with Emperor's STMR, the one we just talked about, the heavy armor, a lot of mages can't wear heavy armor. But if you give them heavy armor mastery and then they can wear that heavy armor, now they can wear this awesome breaker STMR magic chest piece, which is really, really cool. And get a bunch of magic on top of it, as well as a bunch of other stats. So very, very useful heavy armor mastery. And then supernatural subversion is attack and magic 50%, as well as 50% killer to 4 different races, one of which is aquatic, which is a very rare killer. Yeah, this is awesome. Aquatic, demon, fairy, and reaper. Fairy is very rare as well. So this is very, very good. And you can get 2 each of these, 2 heavy armor masteries and 2 supernatural subversions. And that's what I think that most players should get. I don't think you should get the units. I think you should focus on getting these materias first. So that said, here's my top picks. If I have to get a unit, I would be picking Emperor of Palamecia, Stormseeker Esther if I didn't have her at EX3 already, I do, or Tulian. Currently I'm 1 Tulian away from EX3, which lets you use his SLB more often. My Emperor is only EX1, so more copies of Emperor would be good just to get further to EX2, and another copy of his STMR. Breakers and support units provide the biggest impact to the party in the game. You know, they last a long time. They amplify your damage dramatically just by having those big imperils. And there you go. Very, very cool. And then tanks. You know, Esther being a tank, it provides a lot of flexible utility to your party as well. That LB damage buff sometimes is very useful. Sometimes it's annoying, but it's sometimes very useful if you can stack it right. But I do suggest getting the 4 materias first. These abilities are unique and they provide a lot of flexibility to any unit, not just your party. Like you could get any one of those units that we've talked about on a random ticket. So I would actually recommend waiting until after you get these unique rewards first. You know, you don't want to be the guy on a YouTube comment saying, what if I didn't pick up supernatural subversion and I can't max out my aquatic fairy reaper killer? I'm sorry. Pick it up now. I'm telling you right now, pick it up. It's super, super valuable. Don't worry about the units. The units are kind of hit or miss, and none of them are like make or break for your account. Those killers and abilities could definitely make or break your account. In addition to those, though, TMR, STMR, Moogle, okay, kind of cool. 5-star select summon ticket, not really. Metal Gigantor, no, not really. Maybe the rare summon tickets. 10+1 summon ticket, maybe. Omniprism, no. 1/10 Neo ticket, maybe. Mystery Crystal, maybe. Faceted Orb, no way. Those are kind of my suggestions there. So I would focus on these abilities before you get anything else. And that is really just about it. So if you've got a question for next week's video, please let me know. If you've got a different opinion about what you should be picking with these rewards, definitely let me know as well. I'm definitely open to comments and feedback and discussion. In fact, I love comments and feedback and discussion on the Facebook group or on the YouTube comments. You know, let me have it. Tell me how wrong I am. Tell me how right I am. Tell me if you think this makes me look like I'm 10 years old. Even if it does, I feel like myself again. So that's kind of neat. Yeah. We'll see you in next week's video, whatever that's going to be about. It's going to be exciting. We're getting really close to episode 100, which is really cool. Something interesting is going to have to happen on episode 100. I can feel it. In the meantime, you guys be good to each other. Take care, and we'll see you in the next video.